Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today it's movie reaction time. It's time to tackle our fifth and final movie that we're going to be doing on the channel in this chunk. Millennium Actress from Satoshi Kon. Very excited to be here watching this today. So for the uninitiated, hello, hi, I react to anime on YouTube, and also I've had kind of this slot running on the channel where I'll watch a movie every week, at least for the past little bit anyway. And yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's been really good. I always enjoy it when I do the movies whenever I have the chance. And yeah, to round out our list of 5 in this particular section of movies that I'm going to do, Millennium Actress is on the table. Spin the wheel. I've been spinning a wheel, but there's only Millennium Actress on it. I just thought that would be funny. Anyway, what do I know about Millennium Actress? I think the best thing to do is to jump over to ANN, my favorite website in the world, of course. Right there. Very cool. And yeah, there we have it. Millennium Actress, everybody. I'm not allowed to read this. I'm not reading that. But I will have a look at the staff down here, and I will have a look at one poster for the film, and I will make some predictions based off of all that stuff. So sure, that's kind of the idea from here. Now, I've done one Satoshi Kon film on the channel once already, so I've kind of got a lot of his setup out of the way already. But again, for the uninitiated, worked for a long time as a mangaka, I believe, was assistant to... who did Akira's manga? That's Katsuhiro Otomo, of course. So assistant to him for a long time, kind of broke out of the manga world, was doing some stuff with Oshi for a bit as well, I believe, and then again moved fully into animation after that. We see some work on Jinro and some work on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the 90s OVA here as well. Yeah, this thing, Seraphim. I believe this is with Mamoru Oshii. Either way, after that, I believe it goes Perfect Blue into Millennium Actress, into Tokyo Godfathers, into Paranoia Agent, into Paprika, into... he was going to do something else and then he got unwell. I believe that's how the timeline goes there. So it's fun, right? Because I've done Perfect Blue on the channel, so now I'm doing Millennium Actress. It's kind of like following the lineage there. And again, that'll be one of the major things as we go through the stuff here is the crossover between this stuff and Perfect Blue stuff. It's a lot of the same people working on this thing. I love Perfect Blue. I thought it was great, so... shoutouts to that. I think it's going to be good again. Shock horror Satoshi Kon film is good. Either way, we have the screenplay here by Sadayuki Murai. Just getting the obvious stuff out of the way here first. Perfect Blue, check. And then we get a little bit more interesting. I like the connection here between this and Boogie Pop Phantom. That seems very Satoshi Kon-y, just in tone, I guess, a little bit. Is this that Alien 9 OVA that people always tell me to see as well? Interesting. Kino's Journey, very cool. Knights of Sidonia, Natsume Yujincho, a bit of Mushishi live action movie, never mind. I watched Sabakui Bisco for a bit. It seems very different than what we're talking about though. Yeah, I guess we'll see. There's a there's a bit on here. Now again, if you're doing the screenplay for Perfect Blue, I understand Perfect Blue is an adaptation from a book regardless, and Satoshi Kon's helping along the way as well with his particular interpretation, but I believe this is an original story, so adapting that into a screenplay is pretty fun. I'd like to see the challenges there within, I think. Next up, we have unit director for the film, Ko Matsuo. Extensive work here on the Berserk series, may come up again later. Whole lot of work on Gundam, which I think is interesting, considering I'm doing some Gundam on the channel at the moment, so that's a cool connection. Must be doing some work at Bones now or something. A lot of storyboards for MHA. Interesting. But yes, was also unit director on Perfect Blue. This is what I mean. Very similar teams here. And yeah, a few other scattershot things here and there. Ergo Proxy. Durarara. And yeah, a few others there, of course. Yeah, seems to be in a bit of a Madhouse, Bonesy kind of area, maybe. Interesting. Next up, we have the music here from Susumu Hirasawa. Interesting, right? Because you're not doing the music for Perfect Blue, but you've come on board for Millennium Actress, and then you've done the music for both Paranoia Agent and Paprika. So you must have done something right, as well as this this here from Satoshi Kon as well, which I'm not sure what that is actually. But this is what I mean with the Berserk connection. I read somewhere that Satoshi Kon was a fan of this person's music initially, and was very excited to get them on board, and again, from their continued use, you would imagine that they did a pretty good job. So I'm expecting some pretty good music here. The only song I've heard from Berserk 97 is the one meme song, you know the one, it's like the despair music or whatever, so yeah, potentially not the best point of comparison there. And yeah, working on all the stuff after as well, your mileage may vary, I haven't even seen it, I could not begin to attest to it, but again, if the music was good here, or if the music has to be good here if it was used in 2 other things that Satoshi Kon did. So, sure. Next up, we have art director for the film, Nobutaka Ike. Again, count 'em out, folks. Work on Perfect Blue, Paranoia Agent, Paprika, Tokyo Godfathers. Yeah, this is just the art director for Satoshi Kon, so sure. Also very famously did background art for the Love Live movie. Very cool. Anyway, Garden of Sinners, some Evangelion stuff. Was art director on Bell from Hosoda, so that's interesting. Key the Metal Idol, which I've definitely heard about before as well. Some Gundam stuff, but backgrounds mostly. Some Pat Labor. Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll leave that there. Interesting one again. Very insular team that Kon has, very obviously. And last one here would be Hisao Shirai, who is the DP for the film. Now, DP is an interesting thing when it comes to animation, of course. It's not the exact same as a DP for a film, but again, concerned with similar things, framing, lighting, all sorts of stuff. I can't really summarize what a DP does here and now. But again, was DP on Perfect Blue. I think that makes almost every single staff member I've talked about here like related to Perfect Blue in some way. Very, very similar team. Work on End of Evangelion as a DP as well. Now that's a good credit. Fucking End of Evangelion's pretty good, guys. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, just like hella good stuff here. Trigun, a whole bunch of Pokemon stuff. Again, your mileage may vary, but sure. Work with Ghibli on My Neighbor Totoro. Jinro, the aforementioned. Hajime no Ippo, which I believe I've mentioned previously as well. Some stuff on the Ghost in the Shell movie? Like the movie or the movie? Weird. Inuyasha, the film there as well. Elfen Lied. And yeah, we'll round out here with a little bit of Cardcaptor Sakura stuff as well. Eclectic, again. I feel like I say that a lot about people's CVs, but turns out that people don't always work within the same genres all the time. That's not really how this works. So again, what did we learn from that? Everyone that worked on this is supremely talented. They have amazing CVs and have worked with Satoshi Kon before on Perfect Blue, most of them anyway, and even if they hadn't worked on Perfect Blue, they work with Kon after this as well. So again, he keeps the family close, he keeps the gang tight, which we like to see. Next up here we have the poster for Millennium Actress. This was the key visual that I saw on Mal and a couple of other places, so it's the one I'm going to use. Ignore the Portuguese or Spanish down the bottom. I don't really know what that's about, but more importantly here is the visual stuff. So here's my question about this. What's it about? Listen, Perfect Blue having such a crossover here is an interesting one, right? Because that was like it's hard to explain. Very critical of show business, very critical of idol culture, very critical of the stalker-esque some stuff that goes on there. Something, losing my identity and trying to become somebody else through show business. Time being such a heavy theme in that film as well. Again, characters in Perfect Blue feeling like they ran out of time to do certain things, so that influencing certain other things for them. An ending of the film that is still debated to this day about what it's about and what we think really happened there and so forth. I found some of that discussion in the kind of aftermath of my reaction very interesting. Point being, is this going to be as heavy? Am I going to need to like take breaks halfway through this thing or whatever? I hope not. It's not really the tempo I'm looking for here today, I guess. We see a very similar Satoshi Kon looking design here, and we see various roles that this actress is playing in various productions, you would imagine, right? A question I have is age. So how old are you? Because you're playing like a schoolgirl here, but then as we progress here, it seems like you maybe get a little bit older or something? That would be one to look for. And the other question I would have, right, is it's called Millennium Actress. Millennium is 1,000 years of acting and actressing across 1,000 years. Potentially. Again, Japan has a long and storied tradition of performance, right? Are we going to reference that at all? Are we going to look at an actress across this time period? Are we maybe going to move through time like that? That could be a way to go. Notably, many historical costumes and stuff here is giving me that kind of indicator, right? Various roles within history as well, even various foreign roles as well, with a very Victorian-looking outfit here. This almost looks like somebody fencing. I was going to say like an astronaut, but no, it's like a fencing costume, is it not? Or maybe it is an astronaut. Again, we'll never know. Colors are all very pretty, obviously. Very white tone of skin, which has been something associated with performance in Japan for a long time as well. Bright red kimono with cranes on it as well. Sure. Could look into what cranes mean and all that, but I guess I'll let the movie speak for itself before I go up and look up anything, I guess. The other thing is this thing's about 80 minutes, so again, we'll see how far we can go in 80 minutes with that kind of stuff. It's yet to be seen. And yeah, I'm plans to watch this thing and then maybe come back tomorrow or a little bit later on, give myself some time to reflect on the film and such. I think that's the best way I've been going with these kind of things. But either way, let's put that away. It's time to watch this sucker. But first and foremost, I will shout out my patrons. This video that you're seeing right now was up on Patreon 1 week ago. How cool's that? So if you're interested in what I do at all, you can get those videos 1 week early on Patreon. It is your prerogative. Go there at your leisure and peruse. There may also be a poll on the channel very soon to replace Millennium Actress in the movies I've been doing, and patrons get double votes. So keep an eye on that and become a patron if you're particularly passionate about something on that poll. Either way, many people have done this, up to and including Mickey Babbers, Charles++, Bananarama Hamadama-sama, Bobbin, Choba Ribby, Dapper Dwarf, Domobot, Ed, Fancy Question Mark, Fleur Nightingale, Fruit, Fusel, Gloriana Tenebrae, Glyke, Greybeard, Gus N, Hans Peter, Ika, Iria, Janko Yavanen, Jacob R, Joran, Kelvin, Clem, Nosta, Cod Begemot, Lick H, Lou, Master Detective, Mistake L Chen, Molly Weinberger, Mr. Maniacs, Nico Lane, Parnick, Pencil Sharp 333, Ragashingo, Ronlade B&K, St. Lily, Sal, Sam1373, Skeleton, Voeko, Warpv, Without a Net, Yuan Kai Shu, Yuki Ali, Zach, Akamansa, Binshi, Marsh, Voodoo Chili, Funny Fat Guy, Ice, Koichi Kaito, Matthew Bradshaw, and Ron Tiki. Thank you to everybody for giving me money. I enjoy the money. Let's dive into Millennium Actress, shall we? I'll get that copy up quick, smart. Rightio, I have Millennium Actress up there ready to go. 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 36 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly with your own copy. I have this view up just briefly to show you what I have. It's the DB file set, so it's authored by DB on Nya. Apparently these are the official subs, full subs that I'll be using. You would imagine this is a Blu-ray rip, and this would be the Blu-ray. So if you have the Blu-ray or access to the Blu-ray subbing, it should be very similar. Also the audio track, we're going with the stereo Japanese. So no English dub here today, and no Japanese audio commentary by Satoshi Kon. Either way, there's a picture-in-picture version in the description below for your viewing pleasure, of course. Let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1 and jump right in. Rightio? 3, 2, 1, go. The clock works. Sure hope it does. So, is that anything? Is that a bad way to start the reaction? Maybe. We'll see. Space. The final frontier. Or so I've heard. The moon? Bit of CG, if you don't mind. Almost like a flower bud opening. Okay. Interesting. Huh. Huh. Perfect blue, huh? Yeah, again, clearly is acting. Whoa. Hopefully not an earthquake or something. That'd be bad. You would imagine that's an older film then, right? Okay. Interesting. You seem to run like a VHS store or audiovisual something. Whoa. And I'm going to imagine that says Millennium Actress. Thank you, guys. There we go. We got there eventually. Yeah, rewinding. That's a really cool looking background. Looks very realistic. Okay. I'm getting like the feeling of like progress. Yeah, that was really cool too. Change over time is what I'm meaning, right? Also blurring the lines between fiction and reality in some cases, I think. This song's awesome, by the way. Yeah, like this guy is like seeing all these scenes happening in life, and he's reminded of all these films that he saw, starring this actress. Maybe I'm well aware. I love an opening credit sequence though. Guinea Studios. Guinea, which is being demolished. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So imagining that's the actress from these films. Being disrespectful, you. He doesn't play about his cinema. Come on now. There's lots of actors and actresses that are still active in the 70s. I mean, everybody ages. I don't know. Oh, or not. Let's see here, actually. Okay, reclusive. Let's drink her tea. Yeah, how did you convince her? That's her. She's got that beauty spot. And this guy's just starstruck. Oh, he's great. I like this guy. Sub was weird there, but sure. Do I know the Hanakotoba? Well, now I do. Simple purity. Gift. What is it? Some kind of memento? Oh, a key. A key to the heart. Great question. The script so far is so very direct. It's just flowing like a movie should, is what I'm noticing. Oh, lots of earthquakes. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, be careful, guys. If there's earthquakes, there's probably going to be more. Okay. Crane in the back, too. I wonder. Born during an earthquake. Oh. The Great Kanto earthquake. That's terrible. Interesting. Okay. This is gorgeous. This is like a photo album, right? Do you know what I mean? It's like a scrapbook of somebody's life. Also, again, this is helping us place timeline pretty accurately, you would imagine, right? If you know your world history. Okay. Snub-nosed. Okay, and now we're going to see a little bit of that? Sure. Unseemly. Oh, the blending's really cool. Yeah, propagandary, right? Has she ever tried? Damn, this is really ugly versus broke. That's crazy. Alright, what do you want to do? Chiyoko? Is it like Fujiwara? Was that the last name? Snowball? She looks very proper. Whoa. And so there's some propaganda on the wall over there. Very, very cool. Good thing propaganda doesn't exist today. That'd be very scary. Great. The camera guy's fun too. He's just kind of here. little bit. Perfect Blue reference, oh my god. Who the fuck are you? Freak? Oh. Tall, dark, and handsome. An artist? What's he holding? Oh, are you on the run? Oh, yep, the fuzz. They're here. Did you see a man? I didn't see anybody. Yeah. Is he a thief? What did he steal? Blood. The hell? You're pretty obvious about it, but sure. Okay. So that's kind of rebellious. Maybe inbuilt with this whole rebellious streak that she's kind of going for, or that we're going for in general with her character at this time. Alright, hello boy. Pressure around the wound. Very well done. So I guess the question of the movie is going to become, well, why did she become so reclusive, right? I think they said that she left in the height of her kind of popularity. Left showbiz. Who the hell's this guy? Oh, yeah, this is such a really fun framing device. I love it. Okay. Huh. It sounds like a personal hell of mine, but sure. Can you see yourself there too? His words are so vivid. When peace comes, you reckon? Okay, gotcha. You're sweet on him, which is pretty obvious. Huh. I wonder if that'll become significant later. Oh, key. Key spotted. Oh, no, he's box. Okay, sure. Oh, okay. I see what we're doing now. So that's about kind of tomorrow themes coming in. Bit of a pinky promise. But how do you get into the acting stuff? Punch him in the head. Oh. You nailed it. Got it in one. And it is how time works, correct? Interesting. I'm just kind of thinking ahead with the film. So much of the early stuff visually was like, look how far Japan has progressed. I saw a lot of that in it, like industrialism and so forth. So starting at this point in its history is interesting too, if we're talking about thematic stuff. Also, she's got the key. Does that mean that... Yeah, has old mate been compromised? I guess would be the question. A lot of people around. No. Okay, old man's based? He knew? Yo. My favorite character is here. That looks gorgeous, by the way, this run. I don't want to be like one of those, like, this is cinema type guys, but this is cinema right now. If there's one thing about Satoshi Kon, the film bros fucking love him. And I could see why. Like, this is good. It's objectively good. Already on the train, maybe? Yep. Oh, quickly now. Well, that looked awesome too. Keys, very visual, visible there too. Oh, alright, do you guys have any way of contacting each other, or? Because that's going to be pretty difficult. Well, that's fun. It's we're being meta. You don't understand. I see. I see what we're doing now. Oh, interesting. Oh, she hates it. We're playing fast and loose with it, folks. Interesting. You seem cheery. Oh, that's that visual we saw before. Yeah. I'm gonna imagine you watch the start of this film again and you'll be like, oh, here's all the different films. Not quite. Chiyoko. Okay. This guy's a freak. I don't know about this guy. And now we're in the movie? Yeah, the colors have changed a lot. Yeah, this feels like it's in the movie, if you know what I mean. I thought it was going fine. I don't know. It's a very funny thing that you're saying to me. Punch her in the head. Well, that should have been the line first. Because it came from a genuine place. Okay, here's this freak again. And you're really worried or something. Yeah. Because you recognize who that is. Okay, I'm not sure about going to a fortune teller. I'm not sure that'll be particularly helpful. Fucking, that's awesome. Very tall and handsome. You know who are always a sham? Fortune tellers. Oh, well, that doesn't sound good. Okay. Feels like we're back in the film, no? The music's very interesting here. Determination. Okay. Interesting. There we go. And here's this period piece, right? No, camera kun! Get out of there. That looked fantastic. Am I going to just keep saying that? Probably. Alright, where's the doy? Oh! Quickly now. Think he might be dead. $53. Ooh, Romeo and Juliet-esque. Oh yeah. Some kind of like spiritual presence? Good for you. Okay, I mean, being united sounds pretty good. So I'm wondering how this runs equivalent to the real life stuff. Because you have like a devilish smile, old lady. Did she get trolled? That's Millennium tea. Interesting. Okay, bye. So she still has the key in current day, is my point, right? Forever holding on to the flame of first love. Oh, he's cool. Yes, yes, right away. Whatever you say, sir. Well, I mean, bye. Oh, she's cool. I'm here to save my lord. Okay, like warrior princess vibes. I'm thinking about this in conjunction with the first scene of the film on the spaceship, where she leaves him, you know what I mean? And almost goes down from that rocket back from the moon to the earth. Also, no, my good friend died. Film Bro has died. Ah, oh, fantastic. Look at these two dorks. Hell yeah. Alright, that was great. What's in the pot? Okay. Well, shit. Oh, the action's actually cool. She's now doing more actiony roles. Yes, dude. I know exactly who it is. Yeah, yeah. This is my kind of guy. Interesting. Yeah, but where did the other lady go? Oh, well, you're in trouble now, buddy. Slit her throat. Hell yeah. No, oh, I tripped through time. Oh, old lady's still here. A 1,000 miles? So the transition there between like warrior or like ninja or whatever, and then tripping to becoming this kind of princessy character again is very interesting. Funny. You're out of place now, bud. The crane again, right? She get beaten up? What the hell? They're not allowed to do that. Eiko Nesan. Oh. This is our visual... This is our visual representation for digging into the past and the story. Allegedly, yes. Snap costume change. Head up, champ. Come on. It's game day. Oh, very similar again, this running shot, right? Yeah, much like the one previously. Whoa. Whereabouts are we? Midpoint? Yeah. Don't like it. Oh, is this our boy? Star-crossed lovers. Reunited at last. What a hater. Little pinky promise there again as well. Very similar again. I mean, I was in a very similar spot in the like 1930s or whatever it was, 1940s. Who the hell is this? Oh, he's back. Are you supposed to be whistling or? There we go. Yeah, it just took him a little bit. He's alright, just needs to warm up. It's a banger. Oh, the art's cool. Hell yeah. Very old Hollywood, like, you know, like sets and that kind of stuff, right? Like cutouts placed in the foreground. Again, here's another couple of time periods, another couple of films. Has he got an eye patch there? Or like glasses? No, eye patch. Yeah, cool. Bro thinks he's in Metal Gear. Oh, that was sick. I'm wondering if these are more direct references for a Japanese audience too, like we could see what films we're referencing. Oh, bro's back again. Not the people's rights. We hate the people. Oh. Okay, cop. You'll never take me alive. Oh shit, they took me alive. Oh, you're back again. Come on now. Okay. Based. Why are you in prison? Is my question. But you were cursed to think that as well. I see. Interesting context. He's so good. I love this guy. He's just yucking it up. Yo, he's fucking cracked. Let's go. Oh, well, I mean, that ruins everything, actually. I think you'll find. The man in the red scarf. She's always fucking legging it somewhere. Bro's gonna be crying again. Yeah, he hates it. Oh. This movie's animated really well. I don't know if anybody said that yet, but like it's pretty obvious. Huh. I feel a transition coming on. Yeah. Oh, post-apocalyptic maybe. Maybe in the wake of a disaster? Yeah, nah. Like in the wake of war. Interesting lighting there too. Epic slap. It's It's almost like her mother there. It's interesting. Interesting shaped cloud. Wisteria Sweets. I don't think he made it. Oh, here's this main motif again. What's the shoe? Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Huh. I wonder what to make of that. Interesting. Now that's not where I thought we were going with that, huh? But also, what was that sound? Why are you, like, fainting now? Either way, it's his piece of art, and it's another declaration that they will meet again. Meet me at the spot, all that kind of stuff. But then she just died? I don't know. Is this a... Yeah. This is the thing, it's very old-fashioned. It's like, Sleeping Beauty pricks her finger on it. I don't know the name of it. I think that's what we're talking about there. Yeah, I was wondering if we're going to link this in here. Yeah. So when we're going Chiyoko-san and reaching down it and all that kind of stuff, that's happening IRL as well. You may actually be ill, though. Well, let's continue then. Heh. Well, she was in a lot of pictures. She was prolific. Oh, Godzilla. Huh. Interesting costuming. That's kind of your motivation for filming too. Like, he may see a film with you in it and then go, "Oh, I know you." Oh. It's fun. The same time that the cameraman figures it out. But you were there. So that's why we were weird about this guy. Yeah, because he was like my hard ass boss. Okay, no one asked, but sure. Remember this, there is a barrier between the film and real life. I don't think there is. Not in this movie. Yeah. You really fell for it, huh? Oh, fuck off. Wanker. He practiced this line 5 to 7 times in the mirror before tonight. I'm very happy they lampshaded that too. Don't touch me, you freak. Whoa. Whoa. Curse. Bit of the sound design there too. Punch him in the throat. Kill him. Very violent today. She's always on the move. Hang on. Not quite. Yeah. Very fun. Despite me being this huge megastar, I still can't find what I want, you know? Okay. I'm literally a famous actress. I like her voice changing over time as well. Curse. Yeah, see, this is very perfect blue as well. We were doing a lot of this in perfect blue. My life is like a video game? No, I don't know. It's very. I think it's meant to be airy fairy. It's hard to figure out what's real, what's in the movie. It's like she's blurring the lines in her own memory. Okay, the key's gone. That's bad too. What is it? Because you were on the set. Damn, she's fucking giga evil. Yes. Right away, sir. Great. Yeah. Well, I know. I just saw it. What a scornful woman. Not a fan. It's a long story. Oh, Sensei. Oh, it got real quick. Okay, shit. I see. Maybe a little bit of like losing your memories when you get older to it as well? Like dementia type stuff? Interesting. Lighting's awesome here. Ah! This guy's a mess cat. He's a bit like me. Yo. Damn. Well, I mean, sucks to be this guy. Interesting. I like the lights going out on the back. Play the role. I know. Oh, so that's what that scene was meant to say before. Well, yeah, pretty obviously. Play. Yeah? Okay, bucko. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, okay. Visitor? It's just the cop guy. Like the scar on his face. Very, yeah, Hollywood movie again. Yes. You have a very particular character design. The posters in the back interesting. Stinks are too little too late, no, doesn't it? Just a little bit? Okay, but how are you to get there? Always on the move. Loves a jog. Out there in the cold. Classic, love it. I like how almost cliche romantic it is. Again, sweeping like old Hollywood feel to it. Oh, that was cool too. What was that trunk? That's the one that had the lock on it, right? We're building up steam, folks. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Yeah, I know. I was paying attention. Oh, almost a full moon. I'm running out of time. It's all coming together, folks. Dude, this curse is unreal, bro. How would you even storyboard this? How good are you at your job? Okay, I wouldn't recommend running through the forest, but sure. I mean, she survives, we know that. It's a very interesting sequence. Very long for what it is. Don't get truck kunt, that would be bad. Also very perfect blue, if you know, you know. Why did my copy fuck up? Hello? Alright, whatever, it's fine. Hopefully the timing's fine for the back end here, we'll say. Are we even on, like, Hokkaido yet? Are fucking Godzilla's here? Help? Ah, oh, great. I hate to burst somebody's bubble, but I don't think she finds him. The moon there's great. Moon, of course. The kind of white, desolate surface, right? It's where the kind of scale expands outwards. Like, what was he really painting the whole time, you know? Dude, cyberpunk edge runners vibes, no? Sorry, I'm ruining the moment. Oh, that's tragic. I know. This is the start of the movie again. Keen-eyed viewers may watch and see that. Yeah, like the flowers on the pond. Come on now. Was the cameraman there last time? I don't think he was. That wouldn't make any sense. I know those numbers. Oh, same time as the earthquake. That's fucking awesome. Keep the cameras rolling. That'd be a cool effect. Save her. Oh, lost the key again. Oh, and that's where he has the key. Maybe. Or he fucking died? He got squashed? Don't forget the key. Ooh. He's based. Ooh. Let me get that key for safekeeping later. This might be the point where she quits, maybe. Yeah, there we go. But you were still watching that movie at the start of the movie as well. Yeah. So a little bit reclusive after that point. Dunno, cursed. Oh, there it is. Interesting. What was that you said at the very start of the movie? Like she never ages. What does that sound? Oh, probably something very bad happening. Save her from the earthquake again, please. Oh, she might be beyond saving. Yeah, I thought we may be going that kind of direction. Yeah. Yeah, like they're crushing the studio, right? Yeah. Or leveling it, I guess. It's true. Oh. Oh. She literally couldn't find him. Well, I mean, shit, that's pretty bad. And again, he didn't know that that was pertinent information at the time, obviously, right? Yeah, I'm gonna imagine she's. Yeah. It always felt like the movie was going that kind of direction, I thought. Okay, maybe not dead yet, but not long to live. Okay, gotcha. Well, if you're dying, you're gonna go see him, right? Well, why were you on your knees before? You're no actor. Huh? Yeah, exactly. You would probably classify this as a bittersweet ending. Ah, that'll be the keys to get into heaven or the afterlife where you can see him or whatever. Yeah, so if you didn't do what you did, he's so based. What? Yeah, and the same kind of rocket ship motif, right? Going to a different planet. See what I mean? Oh, the reflection there is great on old mate's face. Genya. All right. And into the great beyond. Interesting. Is that going to be our last line? Ah. I mean, that was obviously very good. I hope when I go to heaven, I go on a rocket ship. That sounds like it'd be like a good time. This is fucking loud. What the hell? Yeah. Jesus, lyrics. A bit of a sad one. Bittersweet, for sure. I'm happy the film ended on the line it did because it's funny. The guy himself has no character, and that's very purposeful. It's the pursuit of him that matters and the pursuit of true love and a true ending and all that kind of stuff. And again, tying that into her acting career is what, yeah, again, that's like the film's purpose, right? Like the tireless chasing of being a hopeless romantic and channeling that into the art you make was part of the journey, and that was the best part. And now again, that's why the space voyage thing is so very cool. Now I'm on my next voyage to go see him again. I'm making my next pursuit, you know? It's almost some reincarnation type stuff to it, which I like. I'm keen to dive into this thing a little bit more and see how specific time periods are impacting things as well. It seems like across all kind of time periods, there's like this authority figure, there's the rebel love interest guy, and that's always kind of the dichotomy, right? Like, I'm always against whatever authority's in power. And again, maybe translating that and that general kind of concept of storytelling across all these different periods, again, is part of the film's insight. Specifically tying it into Japanese history around that period through like 1930s through 1960s is pretty interesting too. It's interesting because it's very dissimilar from Perfect Blue in tone, where Perfect Blue again a lot more scary and stuff, just in general, frightening. It's a thriller. It's got scenes in it, um, but this is again much more lighter, almost very Hollywood in its construction. You could squint and say awards baity just because it's a movie about making movies as well. But I also think it's very similar in that it's about showbiz and it's about blurring the line between fiction and reality. And there's specifically the character of Aiko, I believe her name was, like this scornful older character that laments the younger person. Again, if you've seen Perfect Blue, you know what I'm talking about there. Obviously, not quite as intense, but again, very similar theme there. I like how it came through that the curse was kind of aging in a way as well and time passing. I thought that that was a pretty cool conceit. And again, ultimately, that fortune teller being kind of that deterrent from them meeting sooner, sending her on a kind of wild goose chase where she did get cursed. I thought that that was apt. I think Genyu's just a cool character. That's his name, right? The main guy, the guy, right? He's just cool. He's funny. I like that the cameraman's just following around the entire time. Like, this is just like his summer temp job, and he's just kind of doing it live. Very funny. Very likable main cast, of course. I don't know what the earthquake thing's about. Potentially there's more you can infer there about what the earthquakes were meant to be saying. Don't know. Something like heartache or... I don't know. I really don't. Good movie, though. Of course. And a bunch of Japanese I can't read. Very cool. So yeah, Millennium Actress in the books. Quite clearly an excellent film. You'd have to be kind of dumb to not say it's very good, I think. Listen, I can think of criticisms, and I'll probably end up saying them, but I ultimately don't think they really matter. This is just movie making. It's just pure movie making. And again, that's what Satoshi Kon is most known for nowadays. Just this really pure director's director. He knows what he's doing in that department. Yeah, I really liked it. And again, I normally do like these things after doing my little bit of research and all that kind of stuff. So I'll probably end up researching tonight, sleeping on it, and I'll come back tomorrow and we'll talk about it some more. Sounds like a plan? Sounds like a plan. Let's go do that. And we're back. It's the next day. I've written not a lot of notes, relatively. And I've got a caveat. I'm a little bit overwhelmed. So, as it turns out, the Satoshi Kon guy's good at making movies, so when you try to delve into one bit, even a little bit, it turns into writing a whole thesis on this film and what it represents and everything, right? Because you just keep finding more evidence and you keep going down the rabbit hole more and more, to the point where, hey, if I was to be honest and want to do a really good job here, it'd probably be like a week's worth of work. And I would make something genuinely edited and I would talk about it in a little bit more depth. Because sleeping on this film has done wonders. It's extremely good. It's obviously extremely good. And the more you think about it, the more different things you see into how it could be good. I found my reading that I've done this morning on various people's takes and so forth fascinating, if I'm honest. So yes, in the interest of my own sanity and time, I've kind of written larger points which I'll extrapolate upon for longer, right? So if you're used to my reactions, normally I'll write a little bit more about Chiyoko and kind of direct my conversation and that kind of thing, right? For right now, I've just written the name, and I'm going to talk about what she represents, I guess. And same with Genya and Kyoji, not really, but Aiko and Junichi definitely. Yeah, there's a lot to be gathered there, if I'm honest. And again, in contrast to some of the other films I've been doing lately, which are a little bit more art-driven, I would argue, something like a Red Line, for sure. I've got most of my discussion here in the what did it all mean camp, I guess, right? With the caveat here, most of all, there's no single answer. If somebody else has a completely different interpretation of the events of the film and what you're meant to take away from it, that's completely valid. That's part of Con's kind of ethos when it comes to filmmaking. He's not trying to tell you things, he's trying to give you the building blocks to build your own kind of analyses, if that makes any sense. In a lot of ways, it feels like my experience with Kunihiko Ikuhara as well, where it's in itself a good tool to figure out how to analyze things, right? I found through talking about Utena and currently through talking through Penguindrum, I'm becoming better at this, better at like discussing movies and figuring out how films work and how kind of things put in combination with other things on screen elicit emotion and value. I'm becoming better at that through watching Con and watching Ikuhara. And in a meta way, that's kind of the greatest gift the film can give you, right? An appreciation of film in of itself. And again, that's kind of the meta layer to everything that's going on here. But the best way to start the video is to start the video, of course, even though I'm halfway through the video. Shut up. And I'm going to have a look at the story first and foremost. What I have been doing is going over to these Wikipedia plot summaries. This one seems pretty good. The one last week, or was it the week before, was a little bit, how you going? But it's neither here nor there. Hello, Wikipedia page for Millennium Actress. I found the year that this thing came out quite interesting as well. So both 2001 and 2002. You're right there in that kind of Spirited Away type area, right? I believe that's a 2001 film, so pretty fucking good year for Japanese animated flicks, I'll say. I did read anecdotally that this thing did pretty well at the box office, did pretty well commercially as well as obviously with the critics. It's maybe one of the most criticky movies I've ever seen. Like, if you love film, you're gonna love this, pretty obviously. But this number here is worrying me. I don't think it made... that must be a re-release or something. That's insane. Anyway, I digress. Point being that, hey, the time in which this came out and its title should probably be considered, right? Think about the time period we're encompassing by talking about this person's life and when they would have passed away, right? If we're imagining that Chiyoko's in her 70s or something and she's born in 1923 or something like that for the Kanto earthquake or whatever we say up here, then that would place her pretty squarely at the end of the millennium when she's passing away. Hence, Millennium Actress. Sounds pretty cool, sounds pretty cool. And again, I think I talk about it a little bit later, but this film being the encompassing of many different acting and film traditions through Japan through the whole millennium almost, right? Like, there's certainly parts that are set in historical settings before the 20th century, right? There's certainly parts that are even referencing, like, being a consort or being a geisha, all this kind of stuff, right? Where we're genuinely taking a lot of Japanese history and putting it into this thing, right? It feels like the culmination of all these different points by the very end, right? By kind of leaving Earth in a way as well, leaving the 20th century behind and moving on into the 21st and whatever the future may hold. And again, I don't want to say all my ideas too early, but that's kind of like 2001. There's kind of like this rebirth theme to it as well. Yeah, anyway, we'll get into it some more. I'm meant to be looking at the plot here, so let's do that. Chiyoko Fujiwara, a renowned former actress and prominent star for the film company Jine, we're going to go with. I never did get a pronunciation there. Accepts a request for a retrospective interview amidst the demolition of the company's obsolete studio. Again, death and rebirth theme, of course. Her first interview in 30 years after her sudden retirement from the entertainment industry. Now, Chiyoko's character, through my research, is very much referential to Setsuko Hara, and I believe there's one other actress which is very similar, right? But yeah, there's a number of connections here, widely considered one of the greatest Japanese actresses of all time, working with a famous Japanese director in Yasujiro Ozu, in very famous films up to and including Tokyo Story, which if you're one of them cinephile type guys, that's like right up there for sure. Hara was never married, nicknamed the Eternal Virgin in Japan, a symbol of the golden era of Japanese cinema in the 1950s. She quit acting the same year that Ozu died, something artistic muse to that effect as well. Kind of at that same point where Chiyoko is reclusive as well, goes off and lives her life somewhere else. Again, I'll probably leave it to Japanese people in particular to talk a little bit more about that with some authority, considering it's so very foreign to me personally, but that's what I've read anyway, that it's kind of referential there. On top of that as well, I guess I'll get this caveat out of the way now. This thing is chock full of cinema references. I think the aforementioned Tokyo Story is even a reference within this thing, right? Pretty obviously you got some Godzilla in there, pretty obviously you got some Akira Kurosawa in there at some points as well. I think that's the reference when we're doing all that kind of historical stuff. And I think I mentioned already maybe a 2001 A Space Odyssey, which is for sure an influence, for sure. Again, kind of Satoshi Kon not being kind of unique in this, but definitely taking inspiration from international cinema, potentially more than other anime directors. So yeah, those references are in there. I'm not going to get all of them. Again, this is a film made for a completely different market to me that it's probably referencing different stuff, if that makes any sense, right? I didn't even get all the references in Chainsaw Man, and I was supposed to get those, so I don't know, maybe I'm just bad at this. Either way, documentarian Genya Tachibana, a fan of Chiyoko, visits her house with his cameraman Kyoji Ida. Genya gives Chiyoko a small box containing an old-fashioned key. She remarks that the key opens the most important thing and begins reflecting on her life. Now, this is a crucial thing that I forgot in kind of the latter portions of the movie, is that it poses the question of how Genya is in possession of the key. Like, that's very important. And again, once we get to the what it all means and the symbolism section and so forth, it's very important that Genya is now in possession of it, right? As opposed to other people that wouldn't have involved themselves with her again. Again, death and rebirth type idea, which I'll get into a little bit more. Chiyoko was born during the 1923 Great Kanto earthquake, which took the life of her father. As a schoolgirl, she is scouted by Guinea's general manager to appear in a government-sponsored film to inspire troops serving in the Second Sino-Japanese War. While her mother opposes, intending for Chiyoko to inherit the family's confectionery store, Willy Wonka style, Chiyoko remains uncertain. She meets a political dissident painter being pursued by the police and hides him in her home's storehouse. The next day, he leaves for Manchuria, which I needed to do my research on. It's like in modern-day Russia, I believe. No, present-day China, historically parts of Russia. Gotcha, okay. You can kind of see it up here. It's kind of just above Korea there, kind of off the coast of Japan on the left side. Interesting. I just thought it was another part of Japan that I wasn't aware of, so that's kind of interesting. Either way, if you're up on your Japanese history, you probably know a little bit more about that than I. And again, that's probably informing that kind of stuff, informing the start of World War II and Japan's particular kind of persuasions there. Probably. Either way, he leaves for Manchuria to join his allies, leaving Chiyoko the key to his box of art supplies. But is it just the art supplies, or is it something much more? We'll get into it. Chiyoko fails to catch him before his train departs, but vows to reunite with him. Genya tearfully recognizes this as a scene from one of Chiyoko's films. From this point forward, Chiyoko's memories and films become intertwined. This is where the film gets interesting, in my opinion, right? Where it transitions away from... It's essentially like fucking Titanic in structure, right? Something like that, right? Where we have this person asking this older lady about what happened back in the day, and we're kind of framing it that way. It's where we move away from that and do something, in my opinion, far more interesting. We start setting swapping all over the place, and again, those lines between reality and fiction start to blur. Recalling that Guinea's film is set in Manchuria, Chiyoko becomes an actress and travels there in the hopes of reuniting with the artist. Now, this is a misunderstanding from this portion of the movie for me initially. I was like, okay, so was she an actress before the film started? Like, did she agree at that first point where the mother was kind of introducing it? Or did she agree later? And again, I was unsure until I thought about it and realized that it's a fucking metaphor and you shouldn't be taking it that literally, right? It's clearly just a metaphor for her getting into acting and starting her dream, essentially, becoming an auteur. You know, it's less important, the actual facts and timeline of the film, I believe. She meets the general manager's nephew, aspiring director Junichi Otaki, and Guinea's leading actress Aiko Shimao. During filming, Chiyoko is led to northern Manchuria by a fortune teller bribed by Aiko. So this is a very interesting plot point as well, we'll circle back on eventually. Her train is attacked by bandits before the setting shifts to a burning Sengoku period castle. Chiyoko, in the role of a princess, is tricked by an old wraith, which is an interesting way to put it. into drinking a cursed tea that will cause her to burn forever in the flames of eternal love. In Chiyoko's continuing search for the artist, the setting and Chiyoko's role changes in quick succession, ranging from a courtesan in a brothel at the end of the Edo period to a schoolgirl in the Taisho era. Her family store is destroyed in an air raid, which again, this is part of that kind of blending of fiction and reality. This would make sense for where we are in the kind of story for this to be happening in real life, but it's also part film as well. It's a weird one. Either way, at that point, she finds the portrait painted by the artist and a promise of their return. This symbolizes her final commitment. This is when she's all in, right? Just as she's losing hope, she gets this one crumb of evidence, and that's her kind of push to continue on with her dream of being an actress. After World War II, Chiyoko's career flourishes, but she never forgets about the artist. One day during filming, Aiko secretly steals the key. When asked by the film crew about the significance of the key, Chiyoko despondently realizes that she can no longer remember the artist's face, and resigns herself to a married life with Junichi. So Junichi's a very interesting character, and we'll go into him a little bit more, but he's not like a bad guy, he's just like sleazy and kind of like fucked up. There's also some age gap stuff, which is kind of but again, back in the day it was kind of less frowned upon, I guess. I like the contrast between this guy and the artist. That the artist that's like this figment of her imagination, a guy that never really actually existed, I don't think, right? He's more an idea than man. This guy's like Junichi's very like surface level artist, right? He brings out these cheesy lines to use on her and all this kind of stuff, right? And the other guy, he's so much not that. And I think this represents like a settling of Chiyoko, right? She's no longer pursuing the true art of it. She's settling for, C-tier art, something that isn't quite as good. Some cheesy lines here and there. Again, I think it's a nice extended metaphor for that settling of Chiyoko and no longer pursuing this guy with as much fervor. Either way, she eventually finds the key hidden in their home and confronts Junichi about it. Junichi, having been made aware of Aiko's role in the fortune teller incident, coerces her into stealing the key on his behalf in order to secure Chiyoko's hand in marriage. Aiko admits to being motivated by jealousy towards Chiyoko's youth and innocence. Again, we'll get into this character. She's a very, very interesting one in contrast with other characters in the film. At this point, also an old, scarred man who had pursued the artist as a military policeman approaches Chiyoko on a journey of atonement and hands her a letter from the artist. Again, death and rebirth a little bit, which I like. Chiyoko boards the express train to the artist's hometown in Hokkaido, but the conclusion of her trek proves fruitless. That is most certainly true. This kind of trek sequence is fantastic as well. So many obstacles that she must overcome, and just keeps ramping up and up and up. There's a great tension to it as this kind of like final last gasp as Chiyoko looks for this guy. So then, during production of Chiyoko's final film, an earthquake causes the set to collapse. We'll talk about earthquakes a little bit later, but it is very curious that an earthquake also ends her life IRL, and an earthquake also ends the life of her father way back in the day. Just one to watch. A young Genya, working as an assistant at the time, rescues her. Seeing the wraith in her prop helmet, Chiyoko flees the set and retires from acting. In the present day, Chiyoko, once more seeing the wraith in her reflection, acknowledges that she is no longer the girl that the artist had met. Upon the end of the interview, another earthquake strikes, upsetting Chiyoko's fragile health. En route to the hospital, Genya confides to Kyoji that after Chiyoko left for Hokkaido, the policeman confessed to him that he had tortured the artist to death. On her deathbed, Chiyoko thanks Genya for rekindling her memories of the artist and reviving the young girl she was before. She concludes that it does not matter if she sees the artist again or not, because what she really loved was the search for him. It's about the journey, not the destination, which I think is a pretty simplistic take there, all things considered. So that was the story in as many words. I always forget to use this when I'm talking about the story as well. Would have been great to have some visuals to go along with what I was talking about. That would have been a fantastic idea. Lucky I didn't do that. Anyway, what's a good visual? That one looks nice. Let's talk about the characters. Let's start with Chiyoko, who is the main character of the film, the titular Millennium actress, if you will. I don't know. She's very good. I find that she's a largely very enjoyable character and kind of needs to carry this thing on her back, if I'm honest. So let's go through it. In her first appearance, I think she's very enjoyable as the older lady version of herself, right? She's clearly got a love for film. She's clearly got an appreciation for Genya and what he's trying to do here, especially upon receiving the key. I do like Genya's response upon seeing her as well. Like, oh, this girl that never seemed to age, that was always this beauty, right? She attained eternity in my eyes somewhat, right? Hey, it turns out she actually did age, right? When she was reclusive and out of the spotlight, she was human like the rest of us, right? She wasn't just this kind of idol, right? She was actually a person. Bit of Perfect Blue in there a little bit, I think. There's a fantastic sequence here showing her growing up, using many different like scrapbooking techniques. I love her running through this, kind of telling the history of the time of her birth and all that kind of stuff. This is the kind of picture you would see in kind of an old person photo album. I think that stuff's really, really cool. I think you could make the argument somewhat, not that I would, that she's kind of lacking some unique character perspective stuff. Like, okay, what are the characterizing kind of aspects of Chiyoko minute to minute? Big picture, she's fantastic, don't get me wrong. But is she lighting up every scene she's in from a acting perspective? Is she like over the top or cartoony or any of this, any of that? I think that just more speaks to what kind of movie Millennium actress is. It wants to be taken very seriously. Some people may find that a little bit exhausting over such a runtime. Potentially I do. This would be the one moment of genuine characterization that she has. I think in contrast, she has a lot more to her when she grows through this sequence. Again, very importantly, moving from princess into warrior. I think that's a very important kind of time for her. And when she's the older lady version of herself, she's able to reminisce and joke about things and be a little bit more jovial in general. I think that's a better fit than this kind of yearning artiste. But I guess the film considered that because we have the characters of Genya and Kyoji, who operate as majority of the comedic relief in the film. Again, kind of this almost original odd couple, two-man Japanese comedy group, right? Where you have one constantly going on about something, right? It's obsessed and passionate and all these other things, and then the other one to pull him back into line. I think that's just a good combo. And again, both coming around by the very end to be quite respectful of her and her journey and all that kind of stuff. Again, I think Kyoju's arc during the film is coming to kind of understand and love this kind of stuff, right? Being kind of this kind of intern type guy, very kind of 90s, 2000s-y type of guy, to become interested in older film and art in general through the kind of lens of this older kind of senpai type character, sensei. Again, this theme of eternity, if we're going to be spreading Chiyoko's story and her journey, it's great that the younger generations are getting involved as well. Chiyoko overall, I think, is a character that is characterized most by the idea of obsession. She is obsessed with art and art in general and longing and her dream and all this kind of stuff. And her hopeless devotion to it over time is what gives the film its major drive. It's what characterizes these fantastic sequences where she is kind of running through and trying to find what she needs to find. I love the moon in that regard as well. I didn't even talk about the moon. Let's put the moon down here somewhere. But yeah, she does a fantastic job carrying the film. I also like supposedly Kong's insistence on using female main characters, at least in a lot of his stuff. I mean, Perfect Blue, for sure. This, yes, you'd say that Chiyoko is the main character. Paprika, I would imagine that the lady on the front of Paprika is the main character. Can't Talk to Tokyo Godfathers, I think that's a little bit more of an ensemble thing. And Paranoia Agent, I've got no clue. I have no clue about Paranoia Agent, so sure. Yeah, interesting one, for sure. I think the film would be lesser if it had a male lead, I guess. There's something about the hopeless, romantic kind of female longing of it all that I think adds into the thematic stuff in a very cool way. Like, she's playing this character of herself, you know? Like, her own kind of longing feelings are playing up this kind of tropey older movie where all the female characters were like that. I think there's something in that too, particularly like this shot I've highlighted here, where she's very, very much reminded of her, you know, girlhood way back in the day, right? And how that's reflecting to the now, to the jaded older adult she's become. You'll see down here some of the characters devolve into just their kind of utility to the story and the themes, I guess. And if we were going to do that with Genya, he would be the audience. He would be the audience. That's what he's meant to kind of signify as the character. If we're creating art, who are we creating that art for? what are we creating that art to hope to achieve? And is kind of answering that question in of itself part of the journey? I think to that last question, the answer is definitely yes. Like that's part of the charm of the film, is searching for the why. Searching for the why I even do this. But just on a minute-to-minute level, Genya's fantastic. He's the first character, or one of the first major characters we see in the film. He's characterized as this kind of film buff, right? Who looks at everyday life, looks at all this destruction, all this kind of stuff, and can't help but think about all the films he's seen from this particular studio and this particular actress that inspired him. That even in a way led to Japan being the country it is today, right? Like, I love this kind of shot here, this kind of very obvious scene of destruction into progress, right? That's kind of the major things I took away from this intro scene in the reaction, is progress, right? Again, Japan leveled after World War II in a lot of ways, right? And then building back up into who they are now. I think that's definitely a lens by which the film is trying to say something, for sure. And again, Genya would be awfully aware of that kind of stuff as well. He lived through it, so... you know. But most of all, he's just a film fan. I really like the kind of other shoe dropping here in the scene where we're at the train station, right? We've been chasing her for so very long, and he's like, oh my god, I've cried to this movie 53 different times. It's like, oh, this was a movie the entire time? That's weird. But again, this image on screen, this is just the encapsulation of these two characters, right? I'm umming and ahhing about Genya becoming more involved in the third act of the film, right? Like, he was actually there, and he actually knew all these people back in the day, and all that kind of stuff. I do think it answers some of the questions the narrative poses early. Like, he's nervous around the director guy, the Junichi, right? Yeah, Junichi. And that explains why, because he used to be his boss and he was kind of a hard ass. So again, that's very cool. He's also worried that at some point Kyoji will find out that he was involved in the filming as well and start to ask questions about all that kind of stuff. I guess it's embarrassing, right? Because he's also hopelessly devoted to Chiyoko. So seeing that kind of stuff, you know, probably inspires certain feelings in him and so forth. Anyway, it's weird. I also don't know what the scene with the artist, like finding out that he actually died, is about. Anyway, it's about this kind of, it's giving credence to the idea that the artist was an actual person, which is not my interpretation of the film, no. I choose to take the more airy-fairy, artsy approach to it all, right? Kyoji I kind of already went into. He's kind of not even a character. He's more of a extension of Genya as a concept, again, providing the film with comedic relief. Again, very 90s kid, very, his character design's very cool in that regard. Yeah, very, very much... I feel like Satoshi Kon knew people like Kyoji, and that's why he could write this person very well, I think. Again, often one to look into the camera and say, this is kind of stupid, and that kind of stuff, right? Not in those words, but that's kind of what he's trying to get across. Just kind of standing back from a situation and saying how insane it is. Yeah. Again, you need a character like that sometimes, I think. More importantly, Aiko. Aiko is so very interesting. So she's this kind of older rival character that Chiyoko has, right? She's this classic kind of actress from before Chiyoko's time, right? She used to be the talk of the town. She used to be youthful and exuberant and all these other kind of things, but she's become jaded over time. And again, I'll go into it, but the thing that frustrates Aiko the most about Chiyoko and why she really doesn't like her is her wide-eyed innocence, still searching for the art in all of it, right? Where again, you're more jaded to the business of making movies and it's just a job for you and all this other kind of stuff. But through her, you're reminded of a time when you mightn't have thought like this. And again, that frustrates you more than anything else. Why is she still able to hold on to this feeling after all this time when I let it go so long ago? I stopped looking for my artist, right? Why are you still looking? That frustrates me. I want you to be like me. I want to drag you down to my level. Let me take that key away. In a lot of ways, it's both rival character and maternal character too, right? Think about how similar this interaction is with Aiko and Chiyoko, and think about Chiyoko's own mother in real life. This person that's pulling her away from acting and pursuing her dreams and art and being with this artist guy. There's a particularly good scene at getting that across. I believe it's after this portion. Yeah, this scene here, right? So at one point, opposite her is literally her mother, right? How do we introduce to this scene? Yeah, there's just like normal, that's a really good shot too, by the way. Really normal, like establishing shot, a few shots of like family members and prospective kind of partners and that kind of thing. And it is legitimately her mother. That's her mother's character design from very early in the film, right? But at a certain point, it literally changes from her mother to a different actress. Yeah, literally swapping out for Aiko, right? Like, pretty smart. I think that's very cool. So again, both of those characters being these older female figures telling her to abandon her dreams and essentially just settle. And she does settle for Junichi, who we'll go into next. And we shan't forget the third part of this scene as well, which is when she looks in that reflection at the very end and then sees the old lady right there. And again, what does the old lady mean in all of this as well? Ooh. Yeah, again, we'll talk about it. Junichi's the next character on the block here. And I've kind of talked about what I think his utility is already. He's kind of this C-tier Nepo baby artist guy that isn't quite as good as the artist in your mind as represented by the key, which is why the key is so very important to getting that out of the way for Junichi to have a chance. I don't think he's a bad guy, age stuff notwithstanding, again, different time. I'm more talking like he's just not him. You're not my first love. You're not my true love. If you're what art is meant to be for me, then it isn't all it cracked up to be, I guess. Her losing sight of her key, of what her kind of youthful idea of art and her dream is, that being in the way of her marrying this man is the proof is in the pudding there. Essentially, you just so much settling here. So very much. And again, convoluted key stuff aside, essentially Junichi saw Aiko convince Fortune Teller to tell her the wrong thing. So then he's blackmailing her to steal the key so that he can marry Chiyoko. Weird. But either way, this is like that liar revealed stuff, and then that guy promptly just like exits the movie. And honestly, the focus is more on Aiko in that scene as well. It's way more like her deceit there and what that represents. I think he's less important to this whole thing. I think it is very interesting when this looks like it's like an actual scene, right? Because we start with establishing shots out here, but again, the blinding light outside's very interesting too. It's almost like it's being lit like a set. So we start with establishing shot. It doesn't seem like this room here is a set. Again, even playing literally with the fourth wall of the scene here before we turn around and it turns out it actually is part of a production. Again, it's part of that film, or the film's idea of blending reality with fiction in a very cool way. Let's talk about the old lady. We'll talk about more about what the old lady represents a little bit later on, but she's a very, very important character. Yeah, this one here. She gives the film a lot of juice, I guess. I think if you introduce the old lady character too early, I think it'd be too much of a suspension of disbelief and it would kind of shatter the film's logic in a way. I like that we're placing her squarely after 3 or 4 different setting shifts, right? Like, okay, we're clearly playing with a few more higher ideas here than like literal reality. Which again, this person isn't real. I don't know if you guys know this, but this person's more a metaphor, more a concept than anything else, right? Her specific line there is that, like, I hate you and I love you at the same time, but said in a way more artful way. I just like her looming presence through the whole thing. Again, this curse that I can't quite kick no matter what. Again, this bargain that she throws down in a very kind of devil deal kind of way. I'm a Shakespearean in nature too. That, hey, I'll revive your artist guy, I'll revive this dream for you, I'll give you this career, but on the other side, you'll be cursed with this fire. You'll always feel this fire no matter what. This is kind of that precipice, that point of no return for Chiyoko as a character. As soon as she sips that tea, her whole life's going to be devoted to this thing. She's going to be obsessed. And again, I like the framing insofar as, oh yeah, we're talking about a first love, a romantic love, right? No, we're way more talking about what the concept of what the artist represents. That is a career in art and producing art for other people and creating eternity through art for other people as well. Sure, there is part of it where we look at this guy and he's kind of tall, dark, and handsome and foreboding and all that kind of stuff, right? But it's also very purposeful that we never see the guy's face. He's never given an actual romantic kind of persona for people to jump onto, right? He's just an idea. He's a concept more than anything else. All these other characters that persisted throughout time, right? Think about this guy. Think about Aiko. Think about Junichi. Think about Genya when he's in the scenes and all this kind of stuff, right? All these characters that recurred the most important one, the one we're seeking the most, never really even gets a face. Again, I'm a broken record about this, but it can't help but remind me a little bit of Utena as well, right? Utena's constantly chasing after this person, but doesn't even know what they look like. Again, it's more a concept. It's more what that character in Utena represents than who he actually is. I think attaching the soul of art itself, which I'm calling this guy, to rebellion as well. He's always rebelling against authority. I think that's trying to say something pretty deep about art and art's roots as well. And again, throughout history, that being applicable, no matter where you are, no matter the setting, no matter the time, that is what art is. In that way, we need the authority. We need the guy, right? Here's the guy. He's playing like a military police kind of guy here, right? Or like a detective, like somebody working for the government, that kind of thing. One to snuff out dissenters and so forth. As we move through time, seeing this guy change his kind of professions to attach himself to whatever authorities in power, that's pretty pointed. I also think the scar on his face is a really nice touch. I think it's kind of like this, it's referencing like an older kind of villain character, right? Like the classic, almost mustache twirling, scarred villain type character that steals away the damsel in distress away from the hero. That's kind of who he's personifying as well. Again, showing this kind of devotion and love to film that this film in itself has. I think I mentioned this before as well, but he kind of ties into this death and rebirth theme in the film as well. There's this part right here where we're kind of blurring reality and fiction so very much, where he atones for his sins and convinces Chiyoko to go on her third act journey. It demonstrates a possibility of redemption no matter what, in a very cool way. Now again, that's just pontificating on the characters. I think they're all dynamite on screen, very good voice acting, but I think that stuff is less interesting to talk about, which means I'll swing through our next sections pretty quickly. The art of the film, right? I think the quick switching between scenes and settings, costumes, designs, all that kind of stuff is a testament to how good these initial character designs are. Like me being able to tell throughout time that this is Chiyoko and this is like the Scar guy over here, right? And this is the older version of Aiko, right? Something about her hairline I think is very important there. Junichi, even with the glasses here, very much the same guy. Maybe something with the jawline here with Junichi in particular, I think. From this very early portion to later, something in that, probably. The only one I won't give any props there to is the artist himself, but again, as I went into, that's pretty purposeful. We're not meant to give him an actual design. Yeah, it must be something, again, I'm not an artist, right? But it must be something with face structure, because Genya, even in his younger form, is very identifiable. It's very easy to tell that he's the guy. And again, doing this kind of character design stuff without relying on, you could call them crutches of other productions where we just absolutely go crazy with the character designs. Think about this in contrast with something like Redline last week, right? Where the character designs, yeah, they're very good, and I would still probably take those designs over the designs here, but it's also a harder task to do these designs and make them distinctive. But yes, in general, the quality of the art in the film is at a high level. I really like some of this stuff here, and the coloration kind of distinguishing between fiction and real life. I think that's pretty cool. Again, compare the lighting like here to the lighting a little bit later on when the snow starts to fall. You can kind of tell it's a little bit more cinematic just through the lighting. So again, great art design in that regard. I've highlighted 3 examples here of kind of blending scenes, I guess I would call them. So first one here, I have the Hokkaido/moon scene, right? Where she finds the painting, but the artist is no longer there. Again, that makes sense. He's already dead, blah, 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 blah. But again, contrasting the white desolation of the surface of the moon with the white desolation of the snow of the Hokkaido winter, I think is very clever. Again, just see that contrast point there. No matter if it's Hokkaido or the literal ends of the earth off this very planet itself, I will go wherever I need to go to meet this guy and what he represents once again. And getting that across purely with your art design is so cool. Again, specifically the shot of the moon's surface and then the painting canvas, the kind of artist disappearing into the sunset in the snow in Hokkaido back in his hometown. Again, being laid to rest in art almost as well, much like Chiyoko at the very end of the film. It's just neat. It's this great culmination moment for all the tension that's brought by this kind of revelation here. This whole sequence where she just keeps rushing and rushing and rushing. Again, all that blending, all those different running shots. Even saw a spooky jump scare there of the old lady in the background. Just brilliant. Now, this one was a small moment. It was a scrapbooking sequence very early when we're starting to do this kind of stuff, right? So we go from here. Yep, I was born. I took all these very fancy photos with my parents. Started running in school. you know, very normal school life, uniform shots, all that kind of stuff. Great running animation here as well, before, again, kind of that background gets overtaken by the political kind of motivations of the time and so forth. And again, even creating some depth here by having, you know, I was running straight towards this political side and this political motivation and getting lost in between it. And again, that being that same moment that she was offered her first role, again, being kind of this propaganda piece for the Japanese government, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a history guy. But just, yeah, that's a great introduction to the kind of way the film's going to be told. It's also very much like an old person going through their photo album and being reminded of various things. Just brilliant art. I think this sequence here is here, maybe a little bit after. Yeah, right here, as Genya helps once again. Got the revolver this time. That's kind of a cursed frame. Yeah, riding the horse here. The music here is really awesome too. Fantastically animated. Love the background, evoking a little bit more of a traditional Japanese aesthetic. And then, yeah, kind of foreground, background stuff, creating depth, and then kind of changing who she is over time as well. Like through that smoke cloud, dissipating, that same kind of rising sun, a new rebirth once again in a new film, where again it's now like this kind of Victorian piece where it's horse and carriage instead of riding the horse myself. Again, also a montage by which we're showing a lot of Chiyoko growing up. I think just brilliant. Love the colors here, love the art. It's just good filmmaking, objectively almost. I've already kind of talked about this, strong use of color, delineation between things based on that. Very, very cool. This one I've kind of left, because I would have, for a film like this, I would have a direction, framing, cinematography, boards, all sorts of stuff here can be encompassed within this. Is this where I talk about this kind of stuff? Because it's mind-blowing. I'm not going to talk about this stuff, because I'm talking about it by proxy, I guess. Talking about this kind of stuff is dissecting the entire film and what it's trying to say. And I think that's too big a scope for what I'm doing here with this video. But needless to say that Satoshi Kon is a good director, and again, very inspirational for many creators after him, taking much inspiration from the very best directors before him. I think I noted very specifically through this sequence where she's kind of running after the train, that's when we get the most like, this is just objectively well directed. Objectively, this whole running sequence. A genuine understanding of how to place people in a frame and how to get across what you're meaning to get across. This only comes from studying, again, the very, very, very best. I wish I was more of a film guy to the point where I could tell you. But it's just good. Just know it's good. Also, another thing which kind of emphasizes this is the runtime and how short it felt while watching it. I wasn't really dragging it at any point in the film, despite it being essentially about the same thing throughout. I felt like it was always kind of fresh. In a similar way, the animation is good. There was many moments by which I said the animation was good on screen. In the literal reaction, just go back and look at all those moments where the animation's good. It's very good. Again, character movement being very important in this space. I hate to keep emphasizing this running scene, but there's kind of this youthful longing to the running, and the way that she's being personified through that. Contrast that with how kind of how these two kind of doofuses are running after her, and how labored it looks and all that kind of stuff. Again, they're kind of dorks. They're kind of unfit and so forth. They're just kind of trying to chase her around and get to the story, get to the bottom of whatever's going on without having that same investment that she has in running after her dream. And again, that's only gotten across through the animation, really, and how exhausted they are at the very end. Let's classify this in the same area as your constant kind of like side-eyeing and snide looks and whatever else, right? The character posing here. It's all coming together to give these characters personas before they're even given them by the rest of the script. This is the pure unification of everything a film is meant to do, be both a written and a visual medium in one. Again, here, the framing, the characters, you already know what the relationship is between these two. You know what he wants, you know what she wants, or how pensive she is about it. And then you, off to the side, kind of side-eyeing her. Oh, I've been here before, I know you, I'm going to get to the bottom of you. And this being that same time as the fortune teller when she starts to build that deceit. So yes, very, very good. There's also, again, same scene I keep highlighting, but many characters in these scenes also moving, never really stagnant. It's not a very stagnant feeling movie. Same with the scene with the streamers I just saw as well, right? For a movie that I didn't think would have good fight scenes, there is a good fight scene in it, which is crazy. I think that Millennium Actress has better fight scenes than most current anime, which is crazy. Yeah, she's always moving. She's always fucking legging it somewhere, and I think that's impressive. I wish I was better at talking about music. The music's just good. It's pleasant. Again, I highlighted this kind of montage sequence through here. Has a particular kind of buoyant 2000s-y sounding track, and again, tracking that progress of moving through time in this scene, I think that's very cool. There's also use of leitmotifs. There's a very similar soundtrack playing here at the start of the space stuff that plays at the very end of the film at the space stuff, I think, which again gives the film a nice circular quality. And again, I'm sure there's more stuff there, particularly the artist probably has a leitmotif that I'm forgetting at the moment, but yeah, it's good. It's consistent and cohesive with its music. I guess the only thing I could attest to with the music is, would I listen to the soundtrack when I was like, doing some art or thumbnails or editing or something? And I probably would. If this came on and I was doing some, study or something, then yeah, that's what I would listen to, right? I wouldn't turn it off. Now, because I'm a nice blabbermouth, I've kind of gone into a lot of this stuff already through talking about other portions. But let's run over all this stuff again very quickly. Again, very much posing questions here. Look at all the question marks, more than giving definitive answers. Again, there is no single answer, so I'm just giving what I think, again, with some qualifications. So one of the major themes of the film is earthquakes. There's a major earthquake, a historic earthquake in 1923 in Kanto. It is vitally important to the life of our main character in Chiyoko, right? As I talked about before, her father died during this quake. There is an earthquake again at the very end of the film that kind of signifies her final moments, right? As we can see here, the picture frame cracking over this particular shot, that was kind of that major motivation for her to even continue to be pursuing this, is very pointed, I think. There's another earthquake in the film as well. During the kind of filming of this scene, there's an earthquake and a bit of kind of debris from the top of the studio falls and almost kills Chiyoko. So again, associating earthquakes with death, also associating earthquakes historically with Japan and its death and destruction as well, right? Again, Japan's very famously over a fault line, lots of earthquakes in Japan. There's so much Japanese media about disaster and destruction and rebuilding from that, and I think we're kind of intuning a lot of Japan and its kind of tendencies into Chiyoko as a character as well. I also like Genyo with the earthquakes as well, very obviously saving her here, but also back in the house and throughout the film when we get these little kind of pre-shock, aftershock type things, he just always comforts her. It seems like Chiyoko's really uncomfortable about it, and he's just like this really nice presence for her. And again, very symbolic of this person that's going to be with her in her last moments, even before her death, right? Again, the art itself never brought me a family, but it brought me the adoration of people like Genya, right? I never really found that partner, right? But I had a partner through essence, through the art that I created. Does that make any sense? Yeah, something like that. So again, I've kind of gone into this already. The artist isn't a guy. It's not a bloke that she could have met and had a beer with and, had a life with. I don't know. Does that make any sense? He's not like a bloke. He's a concept. He's the concept of art. That's why we've got a key. A key is meant to unlock something. It unlocks his art supplies, right? If we go back here and we see his stupid kind of briefcase that he keeps with him next to him, right? That's his art supplies. That is the source. That is the source of making art. In here, I will find the supplies by which he made this picture of me so very long ago. In the pursuit of art and putting myself into art, I will gain eternity. Right? I'll forever be this younger version of myself. I'll forever be this person that was wanted by this artist guy. And that's all a very romantic feeling as well. That's what the key represents. The key represents this kind of youthfulness to her. It's no mistake as well that after losing the key, I think here, I feel like she instantly ages a lot. Like, she instantly gets married, and then I feel like she's just an older woman now. Like, I feel like she looks way older here than she did back here. And again, that's just testament to her aging as well and growing up to be an adult and that kind of stuff, right? But again, tying that key to eternity and forever youthfulness and the Millennium actress concept is an interesting lens. So that takes us to the very end of the film and that kind of last quote, right? I say here that the journey is greater than the destination. That's kind of what she's getting at with these final lines. But if I was to reframe it, it would be that my obsession, right, was actually a good thing this entire time. My obsession with creating art and creating the perfect piece of art, finding the artist per se, led to the creation of some of the best stuff and pushing boundaries forward and so forth. And led to me having people like Genya next to me at my deathbed, right? Not wanting me to go, pleading with me to stay, crying over my death, all this kind of stuff. I found what I needed to find without even kind of looking for it. And again, very interesting that it's Genya and the younger generation gaining that perspective. And again, through the runtime of the film, when we're kind of blending reality with fiction in a lot of ways, my life story is preserved through the films that I made as well, you know? So if somebody goes through my filmography, they will see me progressing from one time period to another and learning different lessons. So yes, I didn't find what I wanted to find in the very end, this true love, this true perfect piece of art, but in the pursuit of doing that, I created some damn good things. What happens when she finally gets to that painting she wants to find? She finds that the pursuit, this isn't the end. There's another journey to be had. She thought that this was the precipice, but it turns out that art extends even beyond this, you know? Yeah, that's what this painting's trying to say as well. That's why I wrote this line. I remembered. And again, what's with the curse in this regard? Why does the old lady curse her? The curse is to burn forever in the flames of eternal love. This is the curse of the obsession with acting and making art and films and that kind of stuff. And it's ironic that Aiko inadvertently pushes you towards this with the whole fortune teller conceit. Like, she actually got you way deeper into this shit than you would have been otherwise. But again, what would have happened if she just found her artist here? She wouldn't have become the person she did. She wouldn't have made her most transcendent works and all that kind of stuff. And again, thinking about that kind of stuff's really interesting. This is what I mean when the lady's like, I love you and I hate you kind of stuff, right? She represents this obsession and this dream for the future, right? I love that I have this dream. I love that I want to keep making better and better stuff, but it's also a curse. I can never stop. And again, attaching that to the making of these films that Satoshi Kon is doing as well, gives the film its nice meta layer. So again, kind of just went into it. That lady represents that obsession, in my opinion. It also represents age. It represents the doubts of following this stuff and devoting your entire life to this thing. Again, people are only going to tolerate me on screen for so ever many years and that kind of thing, right? I'm eventually going to age. I'm eventually going to have to settle down and do all this other kind of stuff, right? At that point, what will I have left? I didn't settle. I don't have a family. I don't have all this other kind of stuff. There's these doubts manifesting based on this obsession. And again, there's this sub-theme in the film about age and aging and not wanting to age and attaining eternity through creating art and so forth. Like Genya even thinking that she wouldn't have aged at the very start of the film and ending the film on her death. And this realization through this center portion of like, oh my god, I don't even remember his face anymore. There's kind of this dementia element to it as well. I'm forgetting the reasons why I even fell in love with this thing in the first place. Furthermore, I like the kind of presence of the old lady, her character design, and kind of the Oni Baba conceit. I think placing it in this period in Japanese history and having like the priestess and the lord here and all that kind of stuff gives the film a nice like Japanese centering quality and a nice kind of mythology, I guess. Again, reminds me of those classic stories. Have this witch at the start of the movie pulling you in one direction, you know, have this kind of malevolent force pushing you in another, you know. Shakespearean, very, very Shakespearean, I think. Which again, you can continue on and say that that's very Kurosawa as well, considering I believe he's made Shakespeare adaptations, or at least taken elements of them, I guess. This film also encompasses the change from Chiyoko in the kind of princess and damsel in distress type model of character over to becoming a little bit more of a hero. Again, becoming a warrior princess here, before becoming a straight up like shinobi over here. And again, that leading to a lot more kind of leading lady type roles in the future. She kind of, like the old lady places this curse on her, and then she pursues film and different roles in much more vigor. I think that's a very purposeful placement. Yes, I kind of talked about dementia as a sub-theme as well, kind of this person losing their kind of grasp on what is fiction and what is reality, when so much of her life was devoted to making movies and kind of recollecting it at the very end. Again, needing these kind of pictures as the prompt to even start to remember kind of some of this stuff as well. Almost forgetting about the key until she saw it again, and it kind of lit up her mind and she went into all sorts of different directions. I don't think that's an explicit thing. I think it's more of a sub-theme, but I definitely got that kind of vibe. Moreover, with this theme of running out of time and age is the moon. The moon is almost full. With the full moon, it'll be too late. I would have left town already. That's kind of the sequence from the artist, right? Again, that's why this kind of portion is so importantly taking place on the moon as well. Like, what is the most best representation of a full moon if not being on the moon itself? I would love you to the moon and back. Maybe even some tale of Princess Kaguya in there as well, potentially a little bit. And of course, the moon being tied into the historical stuff, right? The moon landing being something that was playing on TV and so forth. References to a film like 2001: A Space Odyssey, I think. That's very interesting too. This film came out in 2001. Think about it. Oh my god. And again, the conceit at the very end of the film is progressing past the moon, right? Okay, I've come to understand the moon and what it represents in that kind of first step. Let's go even beyond. Let's be reborn again, go out into space on my own little rocket ship, and find my next destination, right? Find that next Earth. And again, if you... spoilers for 2001, I guess, you kind of do this kind of sequence where we go through that kind of tunnel, and then he comes out on the other side and he's progressed to a higher stage of being, right? He's become like the space baby. This is in Chiyoko's way. She's becoming her own space baby here, right? She's progressing to that next level of art, whatever's beyond death. You know, it shows that her love of film and her pursuit to make even better art and her pursuit after her man and all sorts of stuff is going to continue forever and ever and ever. And I think that's what gives the film's ending a lot of its power. Again, Chiyoko is seeking an eternity of sorts. She wants to seek eternity through her art. She wants to be remembered forever. That's kind of what the artist and everything there else in between is meant to represent. I've kind of gone into a lot of that already. I think a comparison between Perfect Blue and Millennium Actress is very, very interesting. They're essentially about very similar things. I kind of talked about this in the ED yesterday as well. They're this kind of female character that's kind of got this obsession with their particular form of art and wants to do whatever they can to be successful and be the best person they could be at the role. And I think obsession is a major theme in the both of them, right? I think Millennium Actress talks to the positive sides of obsession, right? The drive it gives you and the creations that stem from that and the people that you bring along with your journey through your art. I think that's awesome. Or again, Perfect Blue is a little bit more cynical in that regard. Like, it's cynical about show business and it's cynical about this obsession. And yeah, Perfect Blue is definitely a movie, huh? Yeah, anyway, you could write an entire dissertation on that point alone. It's very, very, very interesting. Genya's role, I've kind of talked about this already as well. He's the audience, right? Despite already being a fan of hers, right, and her acting, he gets more and more swept up in the story of her life and so forth by eventually interacting with it more and more and more. Like at these early portions, he's just kind of filming and watching along and that kind of stuff before he starts making active participations in the story and moving along with her. Likewise, in real life, he's becoming more and more involved with her actual life as well, to the point where he saves her life and grabs the key from her and all this other important stuff that happens very late. Again, it mirrors the audience outside of the film as well. Us, we're becoming more obsessed and involved with Chiyoko's story as the film continues as well. We want to see her succeed. We are mirroring Genya. That is the perfect unison of character and audience motivation. It's very, very cool. And again, in the very end of the film, he is granting her wish, essentially, right? His feelings for Chiyoko, romantic or not, and his continued existence as well, and as well as the documentary he's making, that's going to give kind of Chiyoko the eternity that she seeks. She is going to be remembered based on all these things, right? And passing down this kind of art and talking about these people and sharing these stories is ultimately, it's going to be important to her attaining what she wants to attain. Imparting the lessons as well. If Chiyoko believes that she's made great art through her career, which I think she does, people should watch this great art and learn from this great art so we can take that ethos forward and create even better art in the future. you know? Learn from the masters of the past and apply it to the now. I think that's part of, again, what this kind of character dynamic and Genya as a whole is meant to represent. Again, this is another one that could be a whole kind of dissertation again, but there's a historical focus here, and specifically on Japan and Japanese art, and this time for Japan, as tumultuous as it was, let's call it, again, spanning from the Great Kanto earthquake to almost kind of like the moon landing in time, right? Huge swaps for Japan politically and kind of socially and all sorts of stuff. I think the end of World War II and Hiroshima and Nagasaki is very important in that regard too. I remember noting there's a cloud here that looks very, very much like a mushroom cloud, I'm thinking, right? And kind of in the rubble of this kind of air raid where she finds this picture. This is almost like Japan in the rubble of the destruction of their country after World War II is growing from the ashes and creating some of their great and bestest art, right? Didn't I read something over here where like the 1950s was the best time for Japanese cinema or something like that? Isn't that funny how that's directly after this kind of disastrous period in their history, that all these artists come through and they're inspired by that kind of stuff? I think, again, that's this great intertextuality stuff I really, really enjoy. So again, Chiyoko embodying kind of the creative spirit of Japan in her actions throughout the film. I think that's a lens for sure. And again, exploring these historical settings throughout Japan, all these different time periods and so forth, right? All sorts of stuff, you know, a whole millennium of time. And exploring all these settings gives the film its kind of Japanese feeling edge as well. It feels very kind of nationalistic in that regard, but in like a good way, I think. Yeah, this kind of setting and stuff, it reminded me a lot of In This Corner of the World, which I've reacted to on the channel as well. Kind of the movement through life and seeing kind of disaster and rebirth from that period in Japanese history. I think that's gotten across in a similar way here in a pretty cool way. And again, I've already gone into death and rebirth and cycles and stuff, like the film starting with this kind of stuff, ending with this kind of stuff. Like, it's pretty obvious, you know, but it's good. It means you can continue to watch it over and over again, and again reinforces this eternity thing. If this is going to perpetuate forever and continue to cycle and cycle and cycle, then that talks to Chiyoko and her life's efforts in pursuing art and being an artsy kind of girl. It ultimately succeeded. That's good. It means that it's a bittersweet but happy ending ultimately. Review. This film is obviously really good. You would have to be stupid to not think that Millennium Actress is a good film. I'm going to be real with you. I think my only criticisms come from, like, say it's like my day off, and say I'm just like kind of sitting down and I just want to watch a flick. I'm not turning on Millennium Actress. It's a lot of work. There is some levity here and there, but it's also kind of heartbreaking, right? She feels like her life is pointless, even if it ultimately isn't, in my opinion. And that's kind of this harder film to get through for me personally. I wouldn't say it's anywhere near a slog or anything, but it's not. It doesn't hit that happy medium, which I really like with movies, where it's like really well made and the craft is good and it tells like a good message, and it's also very watchable. I don't think it's quite hitting both. But again, I'm a very particular viewer when it comes to that kind of stuff as well. Who would I recommend this movie for? Film buffs. If you're a film buff at all, particularly if you're fond of Japanese cinema, you will love this. You will adore this. If you a real artsy type of person and want to believe in the power of art and eternity and all this kind of stuff, right? If you're like a film student, you'll fucking love this movie, right? Hence why this movie's done historically very well with critics. If you're already a fan of critically looking at films and that kind of stuff, right? You're gonna like this. It's essentially about that. If you were into Perfect Blue for its construction and its theming and that kind of stuff, then you'll really like this. If you were into Perfect Blue for its kind of status as a thriller and its kind of scares and it's really confronting and all this kind of stuff and its cynicism, then you maybe won't like this as much. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a very hard thing to rank with the other movies that I've watched. It's probably with Redline as my favorite two that I watched over that period of the past few that I've done. But they're all very good. They're all extremely good. And again, I'd probably rather watch Redline again, if you know what I mean. I want to show my friends Redline. I would probably steer away showing my friends Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress, unless they're a very particular kind of person, I guess. Yeah. And that's where I'll leave it, I guess. Just, Yeah, very good movie, very obviously. But that leaves us with what I'm going to do next week. I currently have no clue. I'm probably going to make a poll, so keep an eye on the channel if you're a patron. There'll be a poll up there ready to go. If you're a public viewer, then check Patreon, because there'll be something up there, and maybe you'll like it to the point where you want to spend money on it, and I can eat this week. I'm fine with money. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I landed on all that. I don't know if this is going to come out well, but I really enjoyed watching the film, and I really enjoyed talking about it, so that's half the battle, I guess. Like the video, subscribe, Patreon, Discord, all that kind of stuff. I'll probably do movies again a little bit later. Again, they're a lot of work, in my opinion. It's genuinely like a 2-day job across the research and the watching and everything. But I do enjoy it. I enjoy it thoroughly every single time I do it, so definitely going to happen again in the future at some point. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye. Weird ending.